Hi, my name is Whitney Mileham. Welcome to my channel. This is the fourth and final installment of my How I Gained Over 200 Pounds video series. Before I get started, I want to thank any of you who left a supportive or kind comment in the last couple weeks on these videos. It made it a lot easier to film these, knowing how wonderful the response has been. So thank you so much for that. If you haven't already watched the first 3 videos in this series, make sure you do that first. There'll be a link right up here for you to do so. So where I left off in my last video, I had just gotten married and I was 320 pounds. I was so unhappy with how I looked when I got married. It's supposed to be the moment for a woman when she feels the most beautiful. We're all told that. You'll never feel more beautiful than you do on your wedding day. And now I really don't think that that will be the case for me, because I didn't feel that great about my appearance on my wedding day. I didn't even look in the mirror with my dress and my hair and my makeup on. The whole day passed by and I didn't actually see myself in the mirror. And then I saw the pictures and I was really disappointed in some of them because I had a double chin. And I was looking through these pictures and seeing these really great, genuine reactions from myself and being disappointed because I knew that I wouldn't share them on any social media because I had a double chin. And then we got back from the honeymoon and reality set in. We had very little money. I think we had $300 in our bank account when we got back. And my husband was working full-time at McDonald's. He had just graduated from college and hadn't gotten into his field of choice yet. I had a semester left to go and was working part-time as a bridal consultant, and it was just a really challenging time for us financially. And then I ended up unemployed. Towards the end of my final semester, I thought that I had a job lined up. The business that I was working for had been planning on expanding, and I was going to move to work at the new location, and they ended up deciding to cancel the expansion. This happened less than a month before my graduation. So not only was I not going to have that opportunity, but I hadn't been interviewing for all the other companies that my friends were, and I was just behind. I was severely behind. And so I ended up being unemployed for 3 months. That was one of the most challenging times of my life. Because when I was in school, I was always on honor roll, good grades. I graduated magna cum laude, and I believed that I was gonna do big things. And then I found myself without a job. And that was hard for me to reconcile. And I really just felt like a failure. Like I had been hyped up to be something that I wasn't. And like I had been a stupid millennial believing that I was special or something. I talked in the first 2 videos of the series about bullies in my life. And at this point in my life, I became my biggest bully. I convinced myself that I wasn't good enough. Nobody wanted me. I wasn't as smart or as talented as I thought I was. And again, going back to my weight, I convinced myself that if someone saw me in person and saw how fat I was, they would think that I was lazy. So in the roughly 6 months between getting married and graduating from college, I gained a couple more pounds. Again, this is a theme. And I was about 340. And I told myself, there is no way that you are getting to or getting past 350. It's just not gonna happen. You are not gonna be that person. And so for about 3 months, I was just applying for jobs online and doing phone interviews and had a couple in-person interviews, but not that many. And I couldn't just do that for 3 months. And so I tried to occupy my time by focusing on trying to lose weight. And so when I wasn't looking for jobs, I was meal planning and cooking healthy foods and couponing to try to be able to afford healthy food. And I was working out a lot, obsessively so. I was probably exercising 4 times a day. And again, it was because there was that voice in my head saying, "You're not good enough. You're a failure." And I just wanted to feel like I was doing something productive and doing something that I could succeed at. And I started a weight loss blog, and I really appreciated the feedback that I was getting, but I wasn't losing weight in a healthy way. I was obsessing, really obsessing about losing enough weight so that people would care. I really withdrew myself from the world in those 3 months. There were times when I wouldn't go outside for days at a time, and Todd had to make me go outside to go to the grocery store with him. I didn't want anyone to see me. So my blog became my outlet and my way to connect with the outside world, because in real life I had withdrawn myself so much because I was so ashamed of what I had become physically and the fact that I couldn't get a job. And the kind of negative self-talk that I had in that time was frankly dangerous. I was way too hard on myself. I wouldn't cut myself a break at all. So I ended up losing about 25 or 30 pounds, I want to say, in about 2 months. And it was extremely unhealthy for me because I was seeking that validation. I was seeking attention, not like in a, oh, I'm hurting myself, give me attention kind of way, but I didn't have anything interesting to talk about. When I talked to people, I didn't get to say, oh, work's going really well for me. I didn't have a job. I had nothing going on in my life. And so I needed something to make myself interesting and to have something to talk about and to get positive feedback on and to have a way to connect with people. And so losing weight gave me that. And ultimately I did get a job temping at a Fortune 500 company based in this area. And as soon as I wasn't working out 4 times a day and being really, really careful with everything that I was putting into my body, I slowly started to gain all of it back. And this time it was a lot slower. I didn't gain a bunch very suddenly. It just kind of very slowly came back on. Temping was challenging in its own way too, because I would be offered a contract that was a couple months at a time, and then maybe I would get renewed or maybe I wouldn't. And there was one time when I wasn't renewed, and then I was offered a contract at the same company on a different team for 2 weeks. That's kind of what we were dealing with in this situation. And so I was temping for about 14 months with this company, and towards the end I thought, you know, is this it? Is this all that I can do? Is there anything else, or am I just going to be perpetually temping? And my confidence was just so rattled because I was so concerned all the time about keeping my head down and not making any noise and just proving that I had a good work ethic and that I was competent. And it was just a really stressful situation. And the behavior of binging had stuck around, and so that was something that I was battling with. And I started to realize more and more that this wasn't just normal sadness. I thought that it might be depression and anxiety. And so I decided that I needed to seek help. And I went to a doctor and ultimately was referred to a therapist and started to get some tools for how to deal with that in my life. And then I found myself in this position where I didn't want to go on medication. I wanted to try therapy first, but therapy was so expensive to do consistently and do it right. And so I was weighing these options and trying to figure out what to do. And then the company that I was temping with offered me a permanent role. And I'm still with that company today. I've really been so fortunate with my career trajectory since becoming permanent. In 3 years, I've been promoted 4 times, which is, I know, unheard of, and like I said, I know I'm very fortunate, and it's such a stark contrast from the days that I spent temping. But success doesn't mean that you're cured of depression. In some ways, success can aggravate depression and anxiety. Anxiety because there's more pressure to perform, and depression because I felt guilty for being depressed. I thought, okay, the situation that was so bad is gone now. I have a permanent job. I don't have to worry. I don't have to think that I'm not good enough anymore. But I do. I still feel that way. I still worry that they're going to find out that I'm a fraud. Why is that a thought? And so, again, the binge eating persisted, and it became more pervasive. It wasn't just grabbing McDonald's or something. And for the first couple of years that I was working for this company, I was working 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And so I would get home a lot earlier than my husband. And if I stopped at the grocery store, I would just walk down the aisles and pick things that I knew weren't good for me, but that I gravitated towards, like Oreos or donuts or chicken tenders or fries or chips. It was all the terrible things that I knew I didn't need and I knew I shouldn't have, but I would get them anyway. And most of the time I would eat them when I got home and then hide the garbage and then make dinner and have dinner with my husband as if nothing had ever happened. And I felt so much shame about that. And yet I couldn't stop it. So it was really challenging. And I just kept slowly putting on more weight. And then 2016 was a relatively challenging year for me. I think it was hard for a lot of people for a variety of reasons. But for me, I was coming to terms with a lot of things in my personal life and realizing how much I'd changed over the last few years and figuring out what that meant for me. So it was a challenging year for me, especially towards the end of the year. And I just decided that I wanted a fresh start in 2017. And so I decided that I was going to get healthy, that I needed to get healthy, and that this was my last chance. Because I had told the people in my life so many times before that, oh, I'm on a diet, or I'm getting healthy, or I'm losing the weight. And I became the girl who cried wolf, because I would say all these things, I would talk the talk, I would lose some weight initially, and then as soon as it got hard, I was out. I was gone. And not just for other people, but for me. If I didn't do it this time, I don't think that I would believe that I could. This was my last chance to prove to myself that I could and would do it. It was either that or surrender myself to the eventuality that I would just be fat and die as a result of my poor eating habits and lack of exercise. And I needed to do something to try one more time. And so I decided that this time had to be different. And I made up my mind that I was going to do a YouTube channel, because there's still a certain level of anonymity when you do a blog, but doing videos, you see me. And I specifically chose not to do something like a funny play on words or something like that. I put my name on this channel because I take full ownership of this journey. And this is just me trying my best to finally do it, to change my life and finally live it in a way that makes me happy. I knew that I had to do it. I knew that it was the only way to really commit myself. Because like I said, this is my name. This is me. I need to do something that I can be proud of. And this channel still does scare me, to be honest. Anytime you put something out there on the internet, it's fair game to be mocked and to be turned into something you didn't intend. And I really do care way too much about what other people think of me. It's probably my worst flaw, to be honest. Even sitting here now with no makeup on, this was very deliberate. because I'm bearing my soul and it's very uncomfortable, and I just wanted to be the most genuine version of myself for this video. And that can be scary, but I don't want to be scared anymore, and I just want to be me. So I'm trying to let that stuff go. And something that I've been pretty scared about sharing is something that I'm going to share today, and that is my starting weight from when I began this weight loss journey. I've said in other videos that I feel uncomfortable sharing my weight, and that is still true. If you could see how much I'm fidgeting with my hands under the camera, I just still feel like I'm going to be judged for it, and I just really need to let that go. I can't allow myself to be a host for shame anymore. That is an unwelcome guest that I'm evicting today. So when I weighed in January 1st, 2017, I weighed 365.6 pounds. At this moment, I'm thinking about editing this whole part out, if I'm being honest. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I am not weighing myself for the entire month of June. And so the last time that I weighed in at the end of May, I was 327 pounds. So I had lost almost 40 pounds as of that date. And when I weigh myself again on July 1st, I will start sharing my actual weight with you guys on a weekly basis, because I'm tired of living in shame and I want to let it go. I knew I'd cry in this series at some point. See, glad I'm not wearing makeup. So I did want to answer some of your questions at the end of this video, but I think it's long enough as is. So my plan is that in next week Monday's video, I am going to answer 7 questions from a tag that I was tagged in, and then at the end of that video I will be answering your questions. I asked for questions on my Facebook page and on Instagram, so if you don't already follow me on those, make sure you start. My handles are down below, and you can also leave a question down in the comment section if you want it answered in next week's video. I hope you enjoyed this series. It was extremely challenging but really therapeutic for me. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye!